Good afternoon and welcome everybody to today's informational meeting for the Sioux Falls City Council. Welcome to Carnegie and to any of those that might be watching on CityLink or on the internet. We appreciate your attention and we will get down to our business. Our first order of the meeting today is our report on our Land Use Committee from last Tuesday, May 20th. Councillor Rolfing.
Thank you very much. Yes, we had a meeting last week on land use. The main order, or the only thing we really discussed was the Prairie Meadows subdivision because it has so many things that go with it that will continue on into the future with some of the things that we're doing out there at Prairie Meadows. Mike Cooper and Mark Cotter and those two gave us some information about what's happening, what timelines would be, etc. One of the residents out there was concerned about the price of being annexed, made it hard for her to sell the house, etc. And so we again trying to maybe take a look at something we might be able to do along those lines. So the front footage they're going to calculate, maybe see if there's a different way to calculate it. But anytime we do that, you know, for corner lots, it takes away from what might be the whole that people should be paying. So there's some fine lines there. We'd really like this to be this a voluntary annexation, and so we're working hard to make it that way so that everybody wins on the situation. And then we welcomed Councillor Jameson to our committee. So welcome again, and that's it.
Thank you, Councillor Rolfing. Annexation will not come without cost. That is for certain. Questions for Councillor Rolfing on last week's meeting? Seeing none, we will move on to our open discussion. Topics for open discussion. I have one. I will have a schedule conflict next week, Tuesday, so I will not be present for the informational or the regular council meeting. So just so you're aware. Any other open discussion? All righty, we'll move right into the meat of our today's meeting. Our first presentation is our bi-monthly event center project update, and I believe Kendra Simmons will take the lead position there.
Good afternoon. Kendra Simmonsma with a Special Projects Manager with the City of Sioux Falls. I know that it's, I think, a pleasure to see me. Normally, Mark Cotter gives the update for construction, but he's unavailable to attend today, so I get the opportunity to update you all. We are in our 96th week of construction, if you can believe that, and we're around 10 weeks left to go. So when you say it that way, we are almost there. So I just wanted to bring some focus to a high-level finish that's really actually happening in the building now. One of our goals that we had for this project, not only being multi-purpose and 12,000 seats for basketball and operating in the black and 85% local, but we also had an important project goal to make this building beautiful and to have enduring architecture and also have a level of finish that when the building does open for the public, that it would be something that they would be proud of. And I believe we're actually on our way to achieving that. The bullet list that you have in front of you, the high-level finish, those are just some of the items that I wanted to highlight today that we are bringing in terrazzo floor, and I'll show a picture of that. We do have a beautiful signature piece of monumental precast stairs that we're using. We have lots of windows, lots of glass railings. The ceilings are not only we not only have ceilings, which a lot of buildings like this do not have ceilings, but a lot of the public spaces and gathering spaces have wood cloud ceilings, and so the level of finish from the ceiling perspective is very high. Diamond polished floors are across all of the concourses, and again, if you remember early on, that was an alternate. We were hoping that if the budget came in, that we would be able to achieve that, and we have, and it's just made a tremendous difference opposed to just flat sealed concrete. And then we wanted to make sure that the building represented here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And so we used regional products, Custoda, Quartzite, and Slate Stone from the Minnesota and from Rapid City areas. One of the things that our architect, Sincombe Sethless, with our partnership with Coke Hazard, one of the things that they have commented on as we are close to the finish for this building is that they really do believe that the finish level we have in our building here is of the top 10% of buildings that they have done across the United States. And so I think it just, again, goes to the strength of the project team and how well the budget has been managed to be able to get this high level of finish. And so the picture you see in front of you is actually terrazzo flooring. It matches the convention center terrazzo coloring, the dark coloring in the convention center, because the event center lobby will connect directly from the convention center space. And so that's a finished product there. This is, I think you've seen this picture before, this is the Monumental Staircase, and you can see this is a local product from Gage. It's a precast stair. You can see the escalators to your left side, but it's a feature for the building because we're standing, this picture is taken where you're standing in the lobby and looking straight up, and you can see the beautiful stairs that go all the way up to the upper concourse. This is the Keloland Box Office area, and you can actually see the quartz site that frames out the ticket windows now, the 10 ticket windows. You can't see the terrazzo flooring as well because it's actually protected now as work continues. Mortensen Construction does a good job making sure a finished product gets protected. And then that lower, smaller picture is looking inside if you're actually in the ticket window area. You can see there's carpet and there's just a worker putting in some detail for wiring. This is two finished spaces that are coming along quite nicely. The one picture with the yellow Custodes stone in the background is the club space. It's the Dakota Beverage Lodge Club. It's a public space, and again, we're just highlighting the, you can see the diamond polished flooring, you can see the wood bar, and then the back stone is Custodes stone. And then the lower picture is the private club. And what I wanted to highlight here, again, you can see the diamond polished floor concrete. You can also see the wood cloud ceilings. And then also the private club is framed with quartzite. And then you can see beautiful bands of wood with some reveals that really highlights that space. And so that really is a signature place when you walk into the building. You'll see that. Some other things that are going on besides finishes is they're actually, right now, if you go into the building right now, if you're out on the webcam, you will actually see the dashboard system for the ice installed. And what we actually did, not me personally, what Mortensen actually did last Friday is install their first test sheet of ice. And it was a very, very, very thin thickness of ice on the floor, but it was successful, and that was the first test. And they'll do a full installation with Simcoe, our ice manufacturer. They'll do a full installation here in August with our operator. So it's, again, just progress in the building. It's on schedule. This is another photo, this other activity that's been going on. We're actually, we've talked about the installation of the center hung scoreboard and the ribbon board and the end wall scoreboards. What this picture is reflecting is they're actually doing audio and video testing. So you can see there that a camera was set up to actually display some construction feed, and that they were just testing that out. And throughout the building now, anytime you go in there, you'll hear audio sounds, fire testing sounds, alarm system sounds, some music being played. Again, they're just testing out the equipment that's being installed. Just another sign of progress. Additionally, all of the seating, the fixed seating has been installed, and what we're doing now is we're actually installing the stage right platforms. And the stage right platforms, as you can see, are actually used for ADA seating. In general, we have around 70 ADA seats for a hockey configuration, and then depending on the flexibility that we would need for different layouts, that number changes. But you can see that there's an ADA platform right up in the club space. It's right, that top picture is right off from the private club seats. And then you can also see in the lower picture that there's ADA platform seating right there, right up towards the ice. And so one of the things that this project really focused on with our architect, and then obviously with Mortensen in building it, was to ensure that ADA seating was available at all levels. So not only in the upper concourse and the main concourse, but in club seating and on the floor. I wanted to point out as well that we're doing additional entrances. There's not only one main entrance on the south side, but there are two entrances on the curve of the building, one on the northwest side and one on the southwest side. These are additional interior doors in that space. So again, just further finishings happening. And then actually now that spring, or now today, summer, is here, Mortensen Construction now is focusing subcontractor work on the outside of the building. So you can see here that this is the southwest canopy. That's an additional entrance canopy going in. And then the lower picture shows that the exterior billboard, video board has been completely finished out with the metal panels. And so that's all finished there. And what this picture here is, if you drive out to the site today, you'll actually see that the site fence has come down on the south side because they're actually now working on the parking lot area that will be built there. And so they're doing the grading and starting to move on to more additional site work that we stopped when winter occurred. So really, with 10 weeks left, what do we have left? In the months of June and July, we're really going to see more parking lots finishing. We're going to see the marquee and the campus signage going up in the months of June and July. And then you're actually also going to see the interstate signs go up in July. We've worked closely with the Department of Transportation to make sure the signage is up for our building when it opens. And then what's happening now outside of the physical construction work, but Mortensen Construction is working very closely with our operator, SMG, to go through commissioning the building and training and turning it over. So all these systems that we're talking about, the ice system, the audio system, the electrical, HVAC, and plumbing, all of that has training and commissioning process that occurs. And that's what now they're going through. There's a training schedule that's been developed, and SMG will sit with the manufacturer and the vendor of the product and sit and learn how to run the building. We'll do a final construction clean. Again, that's a Mortensen responsibility. And then we'll also start installing our furniture, fixtures, and equipment. And if you remember, the FF&E is being bought from the city, and that we're just coordinating with Mortensen to get it installed in the right time. And then lastly, one of the things that we're now working on is we've always had the goal to be LEED certified, and so we're going through the process now of actually filing the paperwork to submit for review and to get certification at the end of the job. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Darren Smith, and he can update you on the sponsorships.
Good afternoon, Darren Smith, Director of Community Development. I'm not going to start by saying it's a pleasure to see me. I'm the more modest member of the project team here. But I do have some good stuff to talk about. For those of you who have been on the council for some time, you know that I always start my portion of the presentation with this slide. And the reason I do that is because it really sums up nicely those major areas that we targeted or identified in the very beginning of this project in terms of generating private revenue to support the operation of the facility, as well as all three facilities with the convention center and the old arena as well. With the check marks here you see, as again you know, the naming rights agreement that we secured is a very generous naming rights agreement. It'll serve us well for the next 25 plus years. The luxury suites in the new facility sold out in 3 business days. The loge boxes sold out in 29 minutes. The new check mark you see here are the club seats officially sold out. We went on sale with these back on May 1, as a matter of fact, so earlier this month. And I would say that they were unofficially sold out in about 10 days, and then officially sold out in about 3 calendar weeks, when all the agreements were signed, returned, the first year payment was secured, and so forth. That's when we considered it to be officially sold out. So I'll touch on those details more in just a moment. And then the last box here, sponsorship sold. As I've told you before, and I'll repeat again today, you will very likely never see a check mark in this box, because sponsorships and sponsorship sales are things that will just continue to go on and on and on, even well after the doors open on the new Denny Sanford Premier Center. That will continue at a minimum in a small way, and possibly to some extent in a large way. Okay, so the last slide I have here is to capture again for you those total dollar amounts. We are at approximately $37 million today in total private revenue generated, again, to support the operations at these facilities for several years to come. That breaks down with the following numbers: of 20.75 for naming rights, 8.75 million over the life of the suite and loge box agreements, and they range from 3 to 10 years total. The club seats will generate approximately $1.65 million over the life of those agreements. Again, they range from 3 years to 10 years. I can tell you the average term of all those signed, all the agreements signed, the average is about 6 years. And so, you know, when we started this, working with Legend, Sales and Marketing, and SMG, we wanted to be in that 5 to 6 year range. And so we ended up at about 6 years. So that's really good. These numbers, each of them, in suites, loge boxes, and club seats, and then some of the sponsorship dollars, these numbers will actually go up. So this is the beginning, this is the floor, and several of those agreements have annual escalators to keep pace with inflation, cost of living, and those types of things, just everything in life going up. And so many of these numbers will actually go up through the years, so over the life of those agreements. And then in terms of the sponsorships, not including the naming rights, the name on the building, we've generated approximately $6 million total in sponsorships. So all of this breaks down. This is the total number, but I know also many people are interested in the annual amount. Certainly I know our finance team and SMG and those are probably more focused on the annual amount. And so right now we are at almost exactly $3 million in annual gross revenue for the facilities and for the operations. So that's where we're at on an annual basis. This is where we're at in total. And then again, the last bullet point, sponsorship sales will continue. I think we've announced approximately 15 different sponsorships of varying sizes. There are at least 4 or 5 that I know are either recently wrapped up or in the final stages of wrapping up, and then 1 or 2 others that I think at this point are almost inevitable to take place. And you'll see those as we bring those forward, again, varying sizes. But we have some nice ones coming forward, some physical spaces in the building still that have not been finalized or announced. So we'll look forward to doing that soon when they're done. And I'll look forward to questions at the end if there are any. Next, I believe, is Tracy Turbek.
Thank you, Darren. Tracy Turbek. And it's my pleasure to see all of you folks today, so it's good to be here. As Kendra mentioned, the project is in the home stretch, and as such, our contracted managers out there are really in full gear in terms of ramping up and preparing for opening the facility and hosting those initial events. In fact, SMG, of course, they're one of the leaders in the industry, if not the leader. They manage well over 200 venues around the world and have opened a lot of new buildings. And so they really have this down to a science. They've shared with me that they have a checklist of more than 400 items and issues that they work through as they're preparing to open a facility. And they've conveyed to me that this project in that regard is also going just as well as we've grown accustomed to on this project. In fact, everything is going as expected from their perspective. One of the things that they are working on currently is the personnel. They did anticipate hiring 10 new full-time positions in addition to multiple part-time positions when the facility opens. Some of those full-time positions, things like the premium seating manager, those suites and loge boxes and club seats, do take some additional time in terms of fulfilling the expectations of those folks that are paying those dollars to the city. So they have a premium seating manager to see that the expectations are met, an ICE manager, box office assistant manager, and some of their maintenance managers as well that they are bringing on board. And again, in addition to many part-time positions. And so throughout all this ramp-up period, training is a key issue for SMG and for Ovations, and that will be ongoing. Kendra mentioned the furniture, fixtures, and equipment. That's really a team effort on this project with our contractors, particularly SMG, working with the city purchasing office as well as Tegra helping to coordinate that process. There are really hundreds of items that need to be purchased in the FF&E category, everything from mops and buckets up to the larger items. You've seen the furniture contract come through. That was a major effort to put that together. Forklifts, things to move materials, ice resurfacers, those types of things are being purchased through this FF&E process, and that will be a major effort and has been in the last few months as well. In addition, of course, with the opening of the facility soon upon us, SMG is very busy planning for some of the initial events. Typically, the way they've handled it in other venues, as I understand it, they have what they call a soft opening. That involves a lot of smaller events, so they can, again, as a training opportunity for one thing for their staff, so their first event out of the chute isn't a full house, so to speak. Gives their staff an opportunity to get their feet under them a little better, test out the systems, all of those things. So they are scheduling a number of soft opening events, everything from what you would customarily expect, ribbon cutting and open house kind of events, a media day, and a number of various other receptions and smaller events. The other thing that does, of course, is to let the public see the facility, give members of the public an opportunity to see the facility, get an early look at it. And lastly, of course, the booking acts is a big thing that SMG has been busy with, and they're really, at the city's urging, they're focusing on trying to get a good mix of types of events through those first number of months, everything from music, country, and rock shows, family events, and some sporting events as well. And so we're excited to, some of those have been announced, and there will be more announcements coming, and I think we're all anxious for that to come as well. In terms of the financial summary, not a lot has changed since our last update 2 months ago. The bottom line has increased significantly. Of course, the construction spending is at peak level, I would say. Since our last update, we've spent a little over $12 million on construction activities. The bottom line expenditures are a little over $88 million now, and that represents about 75% of the total budget for the project. And of course, the funding for the project has really remained unchanged for many, many months now. With that, I will just let you know that we'll be back in a couple of months for an update. I'm not sure how many more beyond that, if any, that we'll have for you, as we'll be very, very close to opening by that time. So that will all stand by for your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. As you said, it could be our last event center construction update, but I'm sure we'll be talking about the event center for a long time to come. So thank you for your presentation. Questions from the councilors? Councilor Staggers.
Yes, well, for Tracy probably, or Kindred. We have these purchasers of the luxury suites and so forth. Did they have any say as to the decor or the furniture that would be there?
At this point, I don't believe they have. I think it's a pretty well a standard furnishing, standard decor. I think we've had a committee of citizens that have looked at finishes throughout the facility and provided input, but the leaseholders have not specifically had any.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Councilor Rolfing.
I have a couple. Nothing for you, Tracy. Darren? I think I had one for you. Oh, club seats. I heard kind of a rumor that we had sold those out so fast that we were going to maybe do some other ones. And is that in the works, or are we looking for that?
Not at this time.
Okay.
No.
There's enough of them, and leave more for that. Okay, that's one question. Question for probably for Mortensen. I've had a number, and I can't remember whether we had this answered or not, but I don't think we have. I've heard a number of people question the stainless or the aluminum that's on the outside of the building, that it has some ripple kind of texture to it. Is that the way it's supposed to be, or is it supposed to be flat?
So the metal wall panels is what you're referring
Right.
to. We have had the manufacturer out, and we are in the process of reviewing that with the design architect as well to go through the mock-ups as well as the intended purpose or the look of the stacks there. So.
Okay, so it's being looked at. It's not the way it's supposed to look?
I'm not saying that yet.
Okay.
If I could interrupt, Counselor,
Yes.
just for the record, your name and,
Name's Jason Marinowski, Construction Executive for Mortensen Construction.
thank you, Mr. Morowski.
Then I've got one for Kendra. I can't let her
Counselor
go by
Alford?
without, having something for her to worry about.
Can I say for the record, I was just joking about my pleasure to see me comment.
Yeah.
Yes, Councilor Rolfing.
I'm concerned a bit about the hearing, for what we've got in place or what they're putting in for the hard of hearing. Can you explain that situation a little bit?
So what SMG will do, depending on event by event, they will make sure that the needs are met. Now, specifically for hearing impaired, things of the visual signage and what they're doing for if there's a fire and emergency, they're doing testing to make sure that the visual signage is on the video boards and on the messaging systems. So for anyone who is hearing impaired, they would still be able to see that there's an emergency and what they would need to do.
What about the show itself? Are we doing hearing impaired receivers? Are we doing the loop thing? What are we doing in the building so that we can offer that to the hearing impaired also so they can get, some pleasure out of the...
Right. So I can speak to just a little bit of this, and then SMG will need to follow up with you, Counselor. But there is a device that we will have SMG have that they can give to hearing impaired attendees to help facilitate listening to a show or an event.
Okay.
But again, on an event-by-event basis, SMG will work closely with their promoter and with their needs to meet any requirements.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Counselor Jameson?
Thank you. Kendra, I think, is probably the best one. It's a pleasure to see you.
Thank you.
Okay, I was approached last week by somebody who was a member of the task force in the previous years under the discussion of the event center, and they were asking me if I would give them a tour, and I certainly not probably qualified to do that. But who would they contact, and how could we get that organized? I think that'd be a great gesture to have a tour of the facility.
Sure. Absolutely, they could reach out to myself. They can reach out to SMG.
So if I have them call you, we can get that.
That's perfectly fine, Counselor. And I don't know if you wouldn't, I wouldn't sell yourself short on not being qualified.
Well, I will. Okay. Thank you.
I have one more for Kendra if I could. She's up there.
I'll get back to you. Counselor
Okay.
Rickenbach is on my list right now.
Thank you. Tracy, please. I know that the people that we're talking about, the jobs that you listed, are technically employees of SMG. So their income is not necessarily public information, is it? They're not directly employees of the City of Sioux Falls.
That's correct. Anyone that works out there would be an employee of either SMG or Ovations, or potentially a subcontractor, I suppose.
Right. So can you give us kind of a ballpark figure of what those salary ranges might be? And you maybe can't do that today. This has just occurred to me that we're talking about a significant number of jobs. If we could learn more about kind of the ballpark range of those 10 new full-time positions, and then where do those part-time positions fall in terms of, are they minimum wage, are they above minimum wage? What do we kind of expect those people to, and how many hours might they work in a given time period? That would be really helpful.
Yep, we'll certainly follow up and get that information.
Great, thank you.
Counselor Kiley?
Thank you. And this, number one, Councilor Rolfing addressed I had the same question regarding the rippling effect on the exterior, so I'm glad to hear that that's being looked into. Regarding the commissioning, building, and training, and maybe Kendra could address this, how long is that service available? So for instance, if we're 2 months into operation and there's a question about operations of some of the equipment, what is the time frame?
So the way the contract's set up is there's a number of hours that are listed that we've bought out through subcontractors and through manufacturers. Now, what is the timing as it relates to when does that really finish or complete? That goes well into operations. You don't want to turn around and train everybody, do all the hours prior to or coming in and operating the building. Because as they turn around and get accustomed to the building, they want to turn around and bring on more people and be able to train those other individuals. And what better way to bring in the manufacturers and experts? So really, you look at the warranty period. It'll be in the first year or two. And that's usually when the warranty kind of coincides with the training. So the training will be completed before warranty period's ended.
So the hours should be used up prior to the expiration of the warranty period?
That's correct. And we also go ahead and videotape all the training as well, so that once the warranty period has expired for those certain trades, whether it be on air handling equipment, whatever it is, SMG can go ahead and pull that tape right off the shelf, pop it in, and be able to play it on a computer or VHS or DVD, Blu-ray.
Okay, great.
So they'll have that ability to train in the future as well.
Okay. Thank you, Jason.
Counselor.
If I could just, Councilor Kiley and then Councilor Rolfing, follow up on the metal panels comment. The city is well aware, and we have asked Mortensen and we have asked our architect to take a look at it. The design and the mock-ups and the renderings did not show that issue that we're seeing now, and so we definitely are pushing the teams to review it.
Okay, thank you. And then I had one other question.
Yes, sir.
And I'd asked Darren Smith this earlier, but I'd like him to refresh my memory. Sorry. How long do we have to establish a punch list of things that we need or want to have taken care of?
Oh, I'm going to let Kendra.
Okay, Kendra.
His punch list was done.
So we've actually started the punch list process about 45, 60 days ago, where we have the design team and representatives from SMG, Ovations, as well as City of Sioux Falls to participate in establishing the punch list. That's the initial punch list for us to go ahead and get corrected, because what we've promised and committed to is a zero punch list on opening day or opening act, and we're on track to be able to meet that. Now, as you move in and start using the facility, sometimes you end up seeing some more nicks and dings and things of those sorts that come along, and then they will come in and ask for those items to be corrected. But typically, you'll either see that or you'll see a warranty item come about where we have to come forward and correct the warranty item.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Counselor Rolfing.
Kendra, just out of curiosity, what is a monumental staircase? I mean, it looks like a plain staircase going up there to me. Yeah, it's long and it goes up there, but monumental means what?
Sure. I guess maybe there's probably not a technical term. That's probably not a technical term, Councilor Rolfing. Monumental, the project team started to talk about monumental because it's three levels of a staircase, and it's all one staircase from gauge perspective, and so it does break up by levels, by floors, but I think they call it monumental because it's just so large, but I'm sure it's not a technical term.
Okay.
Any other questions? I have a couple if I can, and I don't know if this one is for Tracy or for Darren, but I'll ask it and you guys can, whoever's comfortable with taking it. Under the private revenue updates, we say we have $20.75 million in naming rights, and then under the financial summary, we have the private project funding of or the Sanford Health contractual donation of $2 million. Are those, that $2 million, is that part of the $20.75 million? And in the interest of full disclosure, are we kind of making it look like more than what it is?
No, I think the short answer is yes. The $2 million is part of the 20.75. So the 18.75 is $750,000 a year for 25 years. That's a naming rights agreement. And then part of that agreement also was a $2 million cash donation by Sanford Health specifically. Center hung scoreboard, 360 ribbon board, the exterior digital board, to get the best, to make sure we had that package and to get the best possible package.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that that was one and the same, or that one was part of the other one. The other question I have is, at our last event center update, we talked a lot about the additional or the add-on things that we were doing, like the diamond polished floors, that type of stuff. Have we added any more of that type of thing? Are we pretty much done? Do we know what we're going to finish the building, what it's going to look like, that type of thing?
Sure. The add alternates of like the diamond polished floor, the terrazzo, if you remember, we upgraded the seats to have a fabric, a sports weave type of fabric. We also got a better sound system. We put more tile in the restroom. So instead of just 4 feet of tile, wainscot, it's all the way up to 6'8". And so there hasn't been any new fan enhancements at this point because we really are to the point in the project where we got to get it done. And we really want to keep some money back for day 2 for next year when the project in 15, what we've been told by our consultants and by our owner's rep is what happens is you get into these buildings and you live in them and then you're like, ooh, we should have done this instead. And so some of the contingency dollars will be held just to account for some changes that we will want to do in year 2, so in 2015. So we really haven't identified any additional opportunities because at this point in the project, we are now focused on getting it done and finishing it out.
I like that planning. I'm glad to hear that we're doing it that way instead of coming back to the council and saying, oh, we need more money. So I appreciate you going about it that way, so thank you. Other questions from the council? Councilor Alton.
I'm sorry, you do have one more, Kendra. LEED certification.
Yes.
I know we've talked about that. We'd like to do it. How much, if we do that, is it going to cost?
It's part of our project budget, Counselor. We are looking to get LEED certified that we'll submit here at I think in June for review. And besides a plaque of the 15,000, I mean, I hate to quote numbers right now, but it's part of the project budget. So there's no additional, we've budgeted for it.
I understand it, but what is the cost, do you know?
To get the actual certification, I'm not comfortable saying that right now. I'd have to go back and get that information. I absolutely will.
Thank you.
I know LEED certification isn't cheap, and I know that it's kind of a nice thing to have, but yeah, it'd be interesting if you'd share that with all of us. That would be great, so thank you. Okay. We'll end our event center update then, and we'll go into our ambulance RFP update, and Chief Sedaris will be leading our discussion on this.
I'm Fire Chief Jim Sedaris, and we're going to talk about the ambulance RFP. This has been a joint effort between Health Department, Fire Rescue, and also the attorneys on looking at developing a new contract for this RFP for the ambulance service. And what I'm going to introduce is Dr. Jay Fitch. He's the one we've contracted with to do this proposal, and he can probably answer any questions that you possibly could have.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jay Fitch, the founder at Fitch & Associates, and my comments to you this afternoon will be fairly brief relating to who we are, what we've been asked to do, where we are in the project, and when it'll be done. That usually covers it. Fitch & Associates is based in Kansas City. We are the largest emergency services consulting group in the country. Worked in 49 of the 50 states, every Canadian province, and 12 other countries, every continent except Antarctica. We don't plan to go there anytime soon. We routinely develop requests for proposals for communities like yours. What you've asked us to do is to objectively review and develop an understanding of the current service levels and what will serve you well over the next 10 years. You've asked us to develop detailed specifications that will become the basis of your contractual relationship with the provider in your next contract cycle, and with the concept being that you desire to have a pro-competitive environment, and part of that philosophy is that you're competing for the marketplace rather than competing in the marketplace. And we're working with REMSA, the city attorney, and the purchasing manager to conduct a procurement that's designed to attract multiple qualified bidders. Well, what we've done to this point in time, we've met with over 30 stakeholders in the community, including city staff, REMSA staff, several council members, representatives of both hospital systems, the current provider, the fire department, Metro Communications, and medical control. We've received data from Metro Communications, and we independently conducted a geospatial and temporal analysis of your call volumes and acuity levels of those calls, so when and where the calls occur in your community. The next steps to be done. This week, we are working to review the preliminary draft specifications with the legal counsel. We've worked through some of the medical standards with the medical director. Tomorrow, we'll be conducting a public meeting, open house style, to receive any citizen input between 4:30 and 6 p.m. at the main library. And I wanted to just give you a very broad view of the specifications as they stand today. About 90 pages in length, with 11 attachments that will total about 150 pages. Because the more information that we give to prospective vendors in a very detailed way, the sharper their pencils will be. And we understand that your desire is that this continue to be a non-subsidized service, that the ratepayers will pay rather than having the city subsidize the service. The document is organized in such a way where we describe the qualifications and financial requirements, the clinical and operational components, including vehicles and equipment that are required and how often they need to be replaced, what your response times are going to be, how personnel are going to be treated, and including, it's probably an important point for you to recognize that in every one of the procurements that we've designed, we have provisions for your incumbent workforce. So the folks who've worked here, regardless of whether your current provider or another provider were to win this procurement, there are provisions written into the specifications that protects the men and women who've been serving your community well. Some of the provisions deal with the way the service is going to be managed, the community involvement levels that are required, and detailed administrative provisions relative to insurance and liability and all the administrative matters that have to be looked after. Part of the specifications outline in great detail how the procurement and selection process will be conducted, so in terms of the objective scoring system that we'll be utilizing. And to give you just a thumbnail of the time frame that we're working with, we expect to have the work on the specifications done and ready to release in mid-July, to receive questions from proposers and to conduct a pre-proposal conference in August, to receive the proposals then in October, to have any contract negotiations required complete in November, for your council's confirmation in December, so that your contract your current contract ends and your new contract would begin May 1st of next year. With that, I'll try to answer any questions that you may have for me.
Questions for Mr. Fitch? Councillor Jameson.
Just wondering, do you know, over all the proposals and assistance you've done all over the country, how many applicants are we likely to receive?
If a successful process is more than one, right. But in the last one that we just completed in California, there were 2 proposals. The one before that, there were 4. So in this community, I think I would expect to see, from the discussions informally with some of the providers, the interest that's been expressed, I would certainly think that we might see 2 to 3 proposals.
All right, thank you.
Councillor Staggers.
Yes. Can I just ask, how much are we paying you to do this for us?
You've asked me a question I honestly don't know the answer to, but I'm sure the staff does. It's about $90,000 over a year-long process.
$90,000. If I can just ask one other quick question here, and that is, we have a REMSA board here. Mm-hmm. Have you, in the past, consulted communities in regard to REMSA boards like we have?
Indeed, we have.
Okay.
I think, and I guess at the outset, I should say you should be very proud of the system that you have. It's served your community well, and part of what the process that we're going through is to look at what are those things that need to be adjusted, because healthcare is changing radically, and so that's part of the analysis that we're in the process of doing now.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Rolfe.
I don't have a question as much as I have a comment. I guess this study or this getting the RFP ready to go sounds very comprehensive, and we appreciate what you're doing. And I just want to say that that's why we hire consultants. And we've never had one that didn't do a good job for us. They know what they're doing. They're the expertise, they bring in expertise to the city and to the process that we go through that we don't have. And that's why we hire people like this, and appreciate this report very much and bringing us up to date, and look forward to future ones.
Thank you, sir.
Any other? I guess I just have one comment, and that would be, you know, supported this process from the beginning, and, you know, it's not just about the service that's offered to the taxpayers, the citizens of Sioux Falls, but it's also about how we set the maybe standards or expectations that we haven't had with our existing way of doing business. So I am looking forward to this. I think it will be a good thing for everybody involved, for the provider as well as for the community. So.
Thank you. I think that's an excellent comment. And the reality is the clearer the expectations, the less problems you're going to have with any contractor. And that's really why we have such detailed specifications.
Thank you. Councilor Anderson, Jr.
Could we have you repeat when you're having the open house at the library again, please?
Yes, sir. It is tomorrow afternoon between 4:30 and 6 p.m.
All righty. Mr. Fitch, we appreciate your attendance today. Thank you for the update, and look forward to your work and seeing a lot more of it, I guess. Now I'm going to ask that for a motion for executive session to consult with legal counsel about proposed or pending litigation or contractual matters pursuant to South Dakota Codified Law 1-2523.
So move.
Second, Erpenbach.
Second from Council, a motion from Councilor Anderson, a second from Councilor Erpenbach. We vote. Yeah. Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We are going to clear our